Hey everyone, it's Angela Allen from the Handmade Homestead. Welcome back to day 21 of the Every Bit Counts Challenge, put on every year in the month of August by Three Rivers Homestead. We're continuing to add to our pantry stores every day, just like thousands of others, homesteaders and homemakers and home cooks around the world that participate in the challenge. If you didn't join in at the beginning of August, there's no time like now. You can just start anywhere and join in, putting stuff away in your pantry a little bit each day. Our contribution today is going to be egg rolls. We're going to make a batch of about 40 egg rolls and we're going to put them in the freezer so that we can use them in the coming months. The filling for the egg rolls will have vegetables that all came from our garden. I'm going to have purchased the egg roll wrappers. I'm not going to make those, and a few of the sauces and flavorings that go into them. I am not going to give you a recipe for them just because everybody's tastes are different, and there are literally hundreds of recipes online for egg rolls, and you can take the one that you like and make that if you choose to do this yourselves.
Part of getting egg rolls done means I need counter space to do them in. So my first step is going to get all of these tomatoes taken care of. The green ones, the not quite ripe ones, those are all going to stay on the counter, but all of these ripe tomatoes will get washed, prepped, thrown in a vacuum sealer bag, and tossed in the freezer. I already have maybe 70 or 80 pounds of tomatoes just like this, frozen, so that this fall when the weather's cooler and I have more time, I can make that into tomato products to put on our pantry shelf. But in the meantime, we don't want them to spoil. They're ripe, they need to be processed and packaged and at least frozen for now, so we're gonna do that first. 1 7-pound bag of tomatoes, 3 diced green tomatoes to use in recipes. All those tomatoes are down to just this many. Something I'd like to say is if you like cherry tomatoes, these are off of a tomato called Barry's Crazy Cherry. And if you look them up, you'll be able to see some really good pictures of them. They're very sweet, very mild, very non-acidic, very strong tomatoey flavor. They're delicious in just like they are, or in salad, or even in quick like pasta sauce. The tomato plants produce big bracts of 100 tomatoes even. They're like a big waterfall of tomatoes. Look some pictures up on the internet. You'll be surprised if you can grow only one cherry tomato on a patio or a big windowsill. Then grow a Barry's Crazy Cherry. Do stake it. They get very tall, very long, and they are very, very prolific. You would really only need one plant probably.
Well, let's start getting some of these vegetables chopped up and ready for egg roll filling. All of these carrots we did grow. These are the smaller ones that I had pulled out of the garden. They've already been washed. I'm not going to bother peeling them. I'm running them through this little hand grinder, but to be honest with you, this would have been a lot easier and a lot faster if I had used my food processor. I persevered to get it done, but it was a little bit rickety. This little food grinder is great for cheese or soft things like a zucchini, but it was a struggle for these carrots. They did come out the right size, but next time I will use the food processor. This is celery from our garden. I believe it was Utah celery. These are some of the smaller stalks, but I use the greens as well. I love celery tops. They have a lot of flavor. With celery, you always want to use less than you think you need. I have a couple of smaller cabbages left over in my freezer. I do have another half dozen or so coming up in the garden for this fall. So I'm going to use, even though this is red cabbage, because I'm going to blanch the vegetables first, it will take some of that red color out of them. So at least they won't dye everything pink. But I'm going to use this small red cabbage, and I'm going to use a small white cabbage too, just again to use them up. They're small. They are meal size, but again, I'm doing 40 egg rolls, so I do need quite a bit. I chopped these up in fine shreds, and then I chopped the shreds again 2 or 3 times just to make them easier to eat in an egg roll. I did find after I was all done, and we ate a few of these for supper, that I wished I had chopped the cabbage even finer. And again, next time I'm thinking I might put them through the food processor to get the cabbage really shredded to the same smaller size as the carrots.
What's the matter? You can't give your snacks constantly. I don't think you want raw cabbage anyway, to be honest.
These are just a couple of small ears of corn I had left in the garden. I somehow missed them when I picked corn the other day to process it, so I just cut the kernels off and threw them in too. Rather than waste them, I figured this was a good use for those 2 little ears. I've also picked some peppers from the garden. These are shishito peppers and not jalapeno, so not hot jalapeno peppers. And I didn't put those all in. I only put 3 or 4 in. I didn't want to overwhelm the flavor of peppers in my egg roll. Now I'm going to toss all these veggies into one bowl. There's also some green onions right there as well too. I'm going to throw them all in one bowl so I can get these blanched. It's very common for egg rolls that you blanch the vegetables for a minute or 2 in boiling hot water and then throw them into an ice bath to cool them and then squeeze out the moisture so that you don't end up with soggy egg rolls. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just going to put this in hot water, let it cook for around a minute or so. There are a lot of vegetables there, and then I will strain it out into some cold water. So this is just plain cold tap water, and I'm going to throw some ice cubes in it to get it nice and cold to stop the cooking of these veggies. I want them crisp tender in my egg rolls. I don't want them to be mushy, because remember, these egg rolls are going to get filled and frozen, and they will be cooked again at another time in the air fryer. I don't fry them in oil. I air fry them straight from frozen. It works really well, but I don't want them to be mushy, so I am going to cool them off right now to stop the cooking. Once they're cool, I'm going to put them in a strainer. Just again, scoop them out, put them in a strainer, get these things weighed to get out as much of this remaining water as I can. I'm going to add this plate here just to push down on the veggies, and then I'm going to put a weight on top with just a pitcher and some regular water, and I'm going to let it sit this way for about 30 minutes to squeeze out the extra water, and that is quite heavy, that pitcher. So these are just rice noodles. I'm going to pour some hot water over them, let them sit for a little bit. They will be mixed with the cool veggies. Those only need a few minutes, maybe 3 or 4. I'm going to cut them up with scissors, make them small enough so that they're bite size, drain them, and mix them with the veggies to go inside the egg rolls. So let's mix everything together. You can see those veggies are quite a bit drier. I'm going to throw in those rice noodles too. And now let's put some sauces and seasonings into the mix here. I'll tell you roughly what I'm adding, but I'm not going to give you measurements. So this is ground ginger, some little bit of sugar, carrot tops, a little bit of sesame seeds, and some chicken bouillon powder. That's what went in for dry. And that was sugar, not salt, because there's already salt in the bouillon powder. And then here, this is garlic flavored olive oil, sesame oil, soy sauce, and oyster sauce. Those are my flavorings to mix with the dry spices. That's going to all get mixed in. Those noodles will absorb that, so that egg rolls will not be soggy or squishy inside, but they will be well flavored. So one of the reasons I use the noodles, because it will help season and flavor everything when you add that extra oil and liquids without giving you a soggy end product. I'm going to mix this in really well and get ready to fill the shells. So I'm going to take a little bit of cornstarch and a tiny bit of water and mix that really well so I have a slurry. That's going to be my glue to glue the rolls together as I fill them. I do use a commercial product. These are specifically egg roll wrappers and not spring roll wrappers. So you're going to put the egg roll wrapper in front of you like a diamond shape. They always take a little more filling than you think they're going to. You want a nice fat egg roll, but you don't want anything coming out the sides. You don't want to overfill it, but you want good filling. So from here, you're going to put a little cornstarch just on the end. That's your glue. You don't need a lot, just a little bit. You wrap up and over. You have to be very careful or they will break. Roll it partially. Tuck up both corners. Push them down a little bit. You don't want any extra air in there that can kind of make the filling come out. Then you're just going to roll, roll, roll until you get to the end. Make sure that's pushed down pretty well. And there's one. We can do that one more time just so you can see. Get a little bit closer. So again, a generous helping of filling. You put it a little past the middle. Don't overfill it, but you're looking for a chunky egg roll. All in the sides. Make sure that you don't want a lot of extra air again, and you just roll it up all the way up till you get to the end. And when you put these down on your tray to rest, you want to cover them in between to keep the wrapper from drying out so it won't crack. Now that pan you see there is already full because I've done a number of them. And after I do a couple each time, I slide them back under the towels and I keep them covered until I'm done. You can see here I picked that towel up. That whole tray is getting pretty full of already finished egg rolls. Again, I keep them covered in between so they don't dry out. So I vacuum sealed the egg rolls in packs of 4, put them all in the freezer, and they'll be in there and used over the next few months. There you go. That's the end of day 21. I will see you tomorrow for day 22. Don't forget to like and subscribe.